So good afternoon. So I welcome you all today at Unique Academy for program on current affairs, connecting the dots. Now, what do you mean by connecting the dots? That we need to understand before we go on, move on. Now, first of all, we need to understand that the importance of current affairs for any set of competitive exams, whether it's UPSC, MPSC, or any set of competitive exam, any other competitive exam. Now, this has been always an intervention wherein students, by focusing upon current affairs, whether he makes into it or does not make into it in clearing prelims or mains. So the overall focus of the program is to ensure you all that how, by focusing largely on current affairs, that can help you in clearing your prelims exam. Most of the time, when you'll be looking at different set of informations provided by different institutions in India, so you find that you all are overburdened with lot of information by all the institutions. But we need to understand that whether those set of informations, mugging up those information, whether that will lead us to clear prelims or not, the answer will always be no. See, mugging up information is not all about what UPSC requires from you. The focus point is that by using those set of informations, whether you are able to develop insights about that particular issue or not. And developing an insight about a particular issue requires that first of all you read those, then conceptualize those, understand those, and if you are able to understand, then you will be in a position to analyze and interpret also. So these are the steps for you all to develop insights about any issue, as a part of current affairs. So most of the time, what do students do as far as current affairs are concerned? So they will read, no doubt. They will try to conceptualize also, and to certain extent understand also. So they know the facts, they know the figures, but then the last two parts which I told you, that as far as those issue is concerned, whether the set of students are able to analyze and interpret those issues or not. So analysis of each and every issue, each and every developments which is being taking place in the Indian context or a global context, these analysis need to be done. And for analysis, remember that you need to be conceptually clear. There should not be any ifs and buts. And once these are done, trust me, you will be able to interpret those also. So the overall focus of this class or focus of this program is not only that I'll be sharing you a lot of factual informations. Trust me, I'll make it a point that I'll be focusing less upon facts and more upon technical and analytical issues. The factual part, I'll be providing you set of informations, set of booklets, set of study materials, wherein you can read and you can mug up also, you can remember. My focus will be that I will ensure that by using those facts and figures, you are able to have a multi-dimensional view of that particular issue or not. So overall, connecting the dots simply means to bring you to a level wherein you are able to correlate the facts, figures with the set of informations which can help you in analysis of the issue and interpretation of the same. So overall, as I told you, that in the next 3 to 4 months, whichever issue I'll be taking up, most of the time I'll be taking up those issues which are technical. Less of the facts will be taken by me because there'll be time constraints, and I know that you know good English today. By reading set of study material given by me, the set of facts and figures you can read on your own also. And if any difficulty, I'll be there for you all. So largely connecting the dot means you read, you conceptualize, understand, and remember those. Once that is being done, you will be in a position to analyze and interpret. And that's what will help you in developing insights about a particular issue. Remember, if that is being done, trust me, no one can stop you in getting good marks in your mains examination. Because in mains, the fundamentals are being based while you are preparing for prelims. People say that I adopted a different strategy for mains. It's not always. The overall action plan of yours should be in such a way that whatever efforts you have taken during prelims exam, that becomes the base for you all to prepare for the mains. And that's why in between prelims and mains you get hardly 3 to 4 months. So developing insights will help you in taking up questions from for the mains also. And that's what that will help you in writing, that will help you in having a good writing skill also. That automatically you yourself will be the best judge when you will be using those set of information which I'll be giving you for the prelims, and then you will be utilizing that for the mains exam. So that's what I mean by connecting the dots. Now, talking about current affairs. The one thing which is for sure, and that is change. Change is bound to happen. The change in overall environment, whether it's economy, whether it's politics, whether it's science and technology, or any set of environment, we cannot stop one thing, and that is change. Change is permanent, change is continuous. And that's what, unless and until you change the perspective, unless and until you change your action plan, unless and until you be within that change, unless and until you adapt that change. Remember, whether it's UPSC, whether it's MPSC, or whether it's any exam, it's not possible for you all to crack. Let's say changes in technology. I always say that you think that you do have the best smartphone in the world, but you are not aware that in some parts of the world, somebody having is much smarter than you, much advanced than you. That's what, technology is changing. So when you talk about UPSC, and such changes are taking place in every pace of environment, it becomes very difficult for you all also, to cater to all those changes. How I need to adapt those changes, whether to what extent I should focus on a particular change in science and technology, a change in economy, a change in politics and public policies. And that's what really becomes a challenging task for any aspirant which is preparing for competitive exam. So my dear students, there are ways and means where you can catch hold of those changes, where you can command those changes, and where you can adapt those changes. So we'll try our best in the next 3 to 4 months, that whatever changes are taking place, we'll try our best in a way by adopting ways and means wherein we'll look up at most important changes which are taking place, developments which are taking place, and what are its repercussions, what are the different dimensions of that particular change. We'll be getting to know, we'll be discussing, debating, so that a overall perspective can be developed regarding that particular change. Now, as I told you earlier, that what is the objectives, I told you, yeah, I'm not be bombarding with lot of informations. As one of my friends said, that some of the institutions provide lot of informations, and before coming for this particular lecture, I also went through different websites, and I was trying to inquire as to how they are, sharing those set of informations. Again, I'm telling you, sharing the set of informations, mugging the set of informations will not help you in clearing UPSC or any competitive exam. And remember that if you are reading any issue, current issue, whether by reading that you have attained that level wherein you are able to analyze and interpret or not, whether you have developed insight and different dimension about that particular issue or not, unless and until you reach that extent, don't stop. Because you do not know, I also do not know what dimension of that particular current event can be asked in any competitive exam. And since we are not sure of, we need to stretch to such an extent that it covers the length and breadth of that particular issue. So, what are the focus points here? So, in the class, understanding will depend upon you reading and conceptualizing, understanding, conceptualizing, analyzing, and interpretation. So larger part I'll be focused on analysis and interpretations. Now, why I'm considering that current affairs becomes an intervention tool for clearing prelims exam. Now, the answer you can see in the later on slides, as in 2023, if you talk about current affairs, more than 30 plus questions have been asked. Now, trust me, out of 100 questions, 30 plus questions are on current affairs. I am not here to ensure you that you go right with 30 or 25. I am here that out of 30 or out of any number of current questions being asked, if I am making you to solve 50% to 60% of the current questions, so I'll be helping you in clearing prelims. That's what will be my strategy. So overall, in the next 3 to 4 months, whatever current affairs will be focusing upon will be ensuring in such a way that at the end you are able to attempt correctly 50% to 60% of the questions being asked on current affairs. And out of 100, let's say, if 15 questions out of 100, what do you say? If you are able to correct 50 questions, then you will be clearing prelims or not? 50 हो गए तो 100 आपके marks होंगे. Definitely you will be secure. Now tell me, out of 50, we are keeping 15 questions, 15 questions. Current questions, will be trying our best that at least you are right with 15 questions. So your history, geography, politics, economics, environment, and other things. Don't you think if you are preparing well, if you are honest to yourself, I don't think that students will not be able to at least, attempt 30 questions from rest of the part correctly, or 35 questions. And those who have attempted earlier prelims, trust me, most of the students are able to reach in between 70 to 85 or 90. This is the boundary wherein a student, few of the students are not able to touch even 90 also. So most of the time you are, somewhere in between 70. So what I'm trying to tell you, what under such situations, what can be intervention tool? So this can be an intervention tool if right from day one, if you start focusing upon larger part of set of developments which are taking place or which have taken place in the last 6 months. So definitely you will be near to, the overall attempting 50 questions correctly. So that's why I have written here that current affairs act as an intervention tool. The next will go by this only to increase the probability of your success. And again, remember one thing, that good answer writing does not depend upon what set of informations you have marked up. Good answer writing always depends upon the set of dimensions and insights which you have built over the last 2 to 3 years. So, if you are trying to read a particular issue in a very multi-dimensional way, considering the multi-dimensional view of that particular topic or issue, trust me, I do not think that there will be any obstruction wherein you will be lacking in developing a good insight and good writing skill. So that's what will be our focus also, that once I'll be preparing yourself for the prelims, but then at the same time, the focus will always be that once you clear by using this set of informations, you are able to, develop good insight and good writing skills as well. That's what is the, focus point. Now, these are the key features. Regular lectures all Sunday. On Sunday, we'll have lectures, and the timing for the lectures will be 3 p.m. onwards. Now, 3 p.m. means when we'll be starting, when we'll be ending, we will decide each and every Sunday. Largely, the lectures will not be for less than 3 hours on each Sunday. It altogether depends upon your requirements. If I'll find that, the developments are many and my students needs larger, discussions. So automatically, I can tell you that 3 to 7, this should be our time. Understood? So each and every Sunday, we'll be taking care that, it altogether depends upon your absorption also, because if the topic is technical, but ensure that I'll be taking a break and then we will be continuing. Understood? Even though there'll be one student, this will be the focus. The length and breadth of current affairs, and do not want to take a chance. Understood from my side. So I'll be ensuring that I'll be giving you most of the time on Sunday, wherein 3 से शुरू करेंगे हम, but then it can be 6 also, minimum 3 hours, maximum 4 hours, and if there will be certain tests, then we can extend up to 8 o'clock also. This is outcome-based teaching. Understood? I want output, and that's what my focus will be. Now, study materials you will be getting, no doubt. Learning outcomes, surprise test to assess the consistency. The test will not be scheduled as such कि अगले संडे को टेस्ट होगा. I'll decide one day prior to it, you will be getting a notice that tomorrow there will be a test, and the test will be comprehensive test, the way on the pattern of UPSC. Monitoring of the progress, that will be done by me. Connecting the fundamental subjects with current affairs, that's what also justifies connecting the dots. Now, fundamental subjects with current affairs. If you look at the questions of UPSC per se, most of the time institutions are also failing in their approach to find it out कि ये जो particular question है, ये current affairs का है कि social issues का है, polity का है या economics का. It means the questions is from a particular discipline, but then that is part of current development. So in the class, whichever topic will be taking up, whichever current development will be taking up, one thing is sure, that we need to have that ability to connect that fundamental subjects with the current affairs, because that will again help you in writing answers for the mains. So let's say if you are, I'll tell you also how we can connect, how we can build those connect. And when we can build those connect, again, it will help you in developing good insights. Now, you can well see the number of the current questions. Altogether. Anyway, on an average 25 questions. So what my focus will be, that 15 questions. Whatever we'll be studying, the next 3 to 4 months, I'll try my best that you are able to, attempt 15 questions correctly, and that's what my objective is. मैं आपको current affairs में scholar बनाने के लिए नहीं. स्पष्ट है. So what we'll be doing, weekly news analysis. Persons will be focusing upon persons and places in the news. अगर persons and places कोई technical concept से relation उनका होगा, so that I'll be taking up in the class. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा factual होगा, so that will be shared with you in the form of notes. Because again, as I earlier said, I don't want to waste time based on facts and figures. Understood? National, international summits, because again, the technical part, that delivery will take place, the factual part will be getting notes. Editorial analysis, that will be must done in the class, because I know those are larger technicalities in that. Discovery, inventions again, and anything, which is beyond the above context, that also will be taken up. Now, let's discuss this. I'll tell you. This is an example to help you in gaining an insight as to what will be the form of delivery in the future for any issue which we'll be taking up. So I'll be taking up 3 issues. And why I was focusing upon developing insights, that's how you can judge by this particular, current development. Now, from a UPSC aspirant or UPSC requirement, if you look at India-Maldives relations, तो एक नॉर्मल स्टूडेंट जो होता है उसके बारे में 2 बातें आती है. एक तो हमारे इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, और दूसरा क्या बातें आती है कि हमारा इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन और इकोनॉमिक रिलेशन, दैट्स ऑल, और अ बिट ऑफ स्ट्रैटेजिक. बट देन रिमेंबर, UPSC इज मच स्मार्टर देन यू. They know that students have only a limited exposure to this particular subject. So in order to broaden the subject and the issue, if you look at India, Maldives, so trust me, economy is fine, strategy is fine, political international relations is fine. Don't you think? I mean, what is the geography that also becomes very, very important? Now, if we are studying this particular topic, why geography of the place becomes important? You never know. That UPSC puts before you all a question that what do you understand by 8-degree channel? What do you understand by 7-degree or 10-degree? Now remember, if a particular student is not having clarity about this geographical locations, so he may not. I mean, he has understood. I mean, India, Maldives, सारे I mean informations अगर आप देखेंगे ना डिफरेंट वेबसाइट्स पर तो बहुत सारे सेट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन आपको मिलेंगे रिलेशंस के. But we need to understand that broader dimension of this particular relation, I mean, relates to geographical location of these islands also. And these geographical locations increases the strategic part. Why? Maldives and its geography becomes a strategic concern for India in the Indian Ocean. So while taking up these particular such topics, I mean, we'll be taking up international relations, we'll be taking up a strategic part, we'll be talking about economic relations, but at the same time, we'll not be leaving the any dimension which directly or indirectly attached to this particular issue. And that's what we need to take up certain things about geographical locations also, because we never know. I mean, UPSC, instead of asking all these, I mean, it can ask from this part also, and that's where a student miss. Now, what is the economic and strategic relations? Now, what do you mean by strategy? A set of plans. Economy. So talking about economic and strategic relations, I think most of you have read, but then, I mean, since this is the first class, I'll just be helping you in order to recall those events or set of informations which you have gone through or read. So India and Maldives, no doubt they can be considered to be closed door neighbors. The year in which Maldives got independence in 1965, India was one of the few country, I'll say India was the first country to recognize Maldives as an independent nation. So the journey of India and Maldives, you'll be getting each and everything. The journey of India and Maldives started from, 1965. For the first time, in order to settle certain maritime issues, India and Maldives went in for maritime agreement in 1979, wherein they defined their maritime boundaries. And that's what, helps in order to set a very harmonious relation between India and Maldives. But things become strained in 1988 when a coup was attempted in Maldives, and Indian forces were forced to, intervene. And that was Operation Cactus. But then, again from 2008 onwards, when Mohammad Nasheed became president, elected president, that led to normalization of political stability in Maldives, and that also initiated better economic cooperation between India and Maldives. But then, such is the small nation, island nation, that there are always chances of political instability. And under such situations, when Abdullah Yamin became president, then again relations between India and Maldives strained, and the regions were simply, Abdullah was largely inclined towards China. He was one of the president of Maldives who went very close to China and even, altogether, gave a green signal for the Belt and Road Initiative of China. And that what was something, has always hurt, India. And that's where a strategic concern of India lies. Now, if you talk about Chinese concern and Indian concern, that the world knows that China has always ensured its expansionist policies, and in South Asia, the inherent motive of China has always been debt trap diplomacy. So, China, through Belt Road Initiative, is trying to corner India, is trying to, block India, and at the same time, China is going for economic expansion through investing a huge amount in South Asian countries, wherein is trying to patch hold of, strategically control all the assets or infrastructure of those countries, and Maldives and Sri Lanka are an example. So a lot of investments was being done by China in Maldives, and existing ports, existing infrastructure of Maldives, wherein China invested a lot, and the focus was only one thing, that it can, by economic expansion, it can fulfill its economic interests, and at the same time, it can counter China. So overall, if you look at Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean, China has always pursued its expansionist policies. Now, today, if you look at India, if you would have pursued an expansionist policies, Bhutan would not have been there, Nepal would not have been there, Sri Lanka would have gone, and Maldives would have gone earlier. But we have never, have that expansionist policies. Our defense policies are such that we have always defended our, frontiers, defended our, boundaries. And that's why the main reason why India is intervening today in Maldives is not to pursue its expansionist policy, what China is doing, but always its defense agenda, wherein it knows, and the world knows also, that by placing its military personnel in Maldives, India is only trying to defend its self. So this is the different dimension of this particular issue. So what I told you all, that these strained relationship during the time of Abdullah continues, but then again a silver lining, a ray of hope came in 2018, wherein President Ibrahim Muhammad Solih was elected, and again India started its path of economic cooperation. But then in 2013, in again election in Maldives, the President Mohammad Muizu, in his political manifesto itself, he has shown his inclination towards China, and he showed also its interest against India, and that's what was the main part of his political manifesto. And from that time only, somewhere or the other, the relations between India and Maldives is strained. So when he became president, going by his political manifesto, he went with China, and again he has also, asked India to recall its military personnels being deployed in Maldives. The current discussions amongst policymakers are going on, and let's see what happens tomorrow. However, the present government of Maldives, altogether has signed 20 agreements with China. Those agreements are related to, tourism. Those agreements are related to blue economy. Those agreements are related to, disaster management and many other things. Now, in such a situation, we need to understand that what are the key concerns with these key concerns. The key concerns, remember, are strategic trade locations. If you look at, if you see the map of India in the next class, you will be getting that also, so that at that particular point of time you can look at it also, and you can recall that also. So you'll be getting that. So a strategic trade location. Why a strategic trade locations? If you look at the southern tip of India, then Gulf of Aden and the state of Malacca. These are true maritime trade roads. These, and that's why Maldives acts as a toll gate for all the exports which take place between India and the rest of the world. And most of the time, 80% of its energy imports are being. आप लोग इस तरह से मत बैठो, इस तरह से नींद आती है. 80% of its energy imports are done through these roads, and that's why Maldives becomes one of the strategic trade concern. And that's what becomes the geographical part. That's what becomes the geography part. Countering China in the Indian Ocean, also, China's strategy of string of pearls. Whatever the China's strategy of string of pearls, all to go pearls किस लिए डाल रहा था Indian Ocean में, all together in order to counter China. So, though China used to consider those to be commercial ports, but those commercial ports were commercial merely in name, but then that was only to counter China, India. Whether it's Gwadar port in Pakistan, whether it's Hambantota port in Sri Lanka, and whether there is one also important port called Sitwe on the Bay of Bengal coast in Myanmar. All these are strategically, controlled by China. So if you look at the map of India, altogether, these are pearls which are, drafted by China. Though it shows that these are commercial ports of China, but altogether, strategically, it wants to counter, India. Now, talking about exports and imports, value, out of total trade of 50 crores of rupees, India's total exports is around 49 crore of rupees. So that's what is the magnitude of exports and import. India is one of the largest trading partner with Maldives. So the trade volume and value is not high. 50 crore rupees is not high as far as India as an economy is concerned. But what is the major concern? Strategic. So while writing answers, you need to understand. You need to, simply don't mug up this particular number by this analysis and interpretation. Here can be applied that as far as Indian economy is concerned, 50 crore rupees is not a very high amount. What matters for India at this present context is the strategic location of Maldives in Indian Ocean and shifting of Maldives with China. These are two major concerns for India where it need to take care of. Now, when we are talking about India-Maldives relations, these few facts need to be marked up. Understood? These few facts need to be marked up. So that's what I told you in the beginning also, that set of informations will not help you in clearing, prelims. You need to have a broader dimension about any issue which is taking place. And that's why you need to know the history also, you need to know geography also, you need to know the economic implications or political implications of that particular issue also, if that is there. So largely, Operation Cactus, as I told you in 1988, when coup was attempted, Indian forces intervened. Operation Need 2014. Maldives was in a serious, drinking water crisis in 2014. India helped, and again, during COVID-19 also, India, in the name of Operation Sanjeevani, helped. India was one of the few countries where Maldives was one of the first few countries where India sent its, medicines. Now, 8-degree channel, as I told you, that the geographical location also you need to remember. That it separates Indian mini part of Lakshadweep Island from that of Maldives. And see, as far as level of investment in Maldives is concerned, Afcon is one of the Mumbai-based company, infrastructure company. It is developing. It has invested a lot in Maldives. Understood? In creating infrastructure, and at the same time, Maldives. There is another problem of Maldives also, that people there are addicted towards drugs, and that's why in a particular rehabilitation and detoxification center in Ado was built by Indian assistance. See, so these points shows that to what extent India has tried to build a good relation with Maldives. So this is all about now 10-degree channel separates and Nicobar Islands. अंडरस्टूड सो ये सब चीजें हमेशा फैक्ट्स एंड फिगर्स आपको ये सभी चीजें याद रहनी चाहिए. सो कोई भी पर्टिकुलर इशू आप लोग देख रहे हैं, वेदर इट्स इंडिया मालदीव्स और एनी इशू, आप देखिए कि व्हाट आर इज ज्योग्राफिकल कनेक्शंस, हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड क्या है, व्हाट आर इट्स इकोनॉमिक implications, and then only you're able to prepare fully for UPSC or prelims, I'll say, because you never know where UPSC will be turning its heads. Now, this is for you all to read. Please read it. This set of information need to be marked up by you. Understood? Marked up by you. Because you never know how UPSC will going about it. हम यहाँ पर मिलिट्री पर्सनल्स एंड अदर चीजें डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. यूपीएससी आस्किंग फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया. You gone through? So I'll be giving you in the form of notes. That's what you can go through it also. Now let's talk about 16th Finance Commission. So why there should be a finance commission? So you must have heard of something called fiscal federalism. Income tax is collected by the center, but the proceeds of it is also be shared amongst the states. That's what is an example of fiscal federalism. Some of the taxes are collected by the states, but again shared with the center. So, under the constitutional provisions, Article 280 says that there should be a finance commission and the president should appoint a finance commission after every 5 years. Now, when you see or think about finance commission, you need to be ready with all set of informations in and around finance commission. So simply going by, अगर आज आपने देखा 16th फाइनेंस कमीशन और आपके दिमाग में सिर्फ याद है मिस्टर अरविंद पनगारिया जी का नाम याद है और उसके बाद आपको कुछ नहीं याद है, कुछ फायदा नहीं. Again, I am telling you, if you are building yourself as far as current affairs is concerned, so whatever developments is taking place, you need to go holistic about it. So first of all, we need to understand, we need to think about it also कि अगर फाइनेंस कमीशन की बातें हो रही है तो तीन चीजें तो हमारे दिमाग में बातें होनी चाहिए. एक तो बात होना चाहिए हमारी इकोनॉमिक्स, टैक्सेशन की बात है भाई. दूसरी बात होनी चाहिए कि भाई क्या क्या कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस हैं, और तीसरा जो मैंने बोला सेंटर एंड स्टेट फाइनेंशियल रिलेशंस. तो जो हमारी प्रिपरेशन होगी इसके रिगार्डिंग, इस टॉपिक के रिगार्डिंग, आई मीन दैट विल मूव इन एंड अराउंड, आई मीन इकोनॉमिक्स, सेंटर स्टेट्स फाइनेंशियल रिलेशंस एंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस. तो अगर आप पूरी तरह से चाहते हैं कि अगर इससे कोई क्वेश्चन आए तो आई शुड बी इन अ पोजिशन टू टैकल इट, so you should be ready with all these dimensions which directly or indirectly influence this particular topic called finance commission. Is it fine, dear? Are you with me? नींद आ रही है? Yes. अब ये पूरा फैक्चुअल पार्ट है जो आपके टिप्स पर होना चाहिए, जो मैंने आपको बताया भी कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस आर्टिकल 280 में ये प्रोविजन है कि द प्रेसिडेंट will appoint a finance commission after every 5 years. The commission will consist of a chairman and other 4 members. The members should be a high court judge or eligible to be a high court judge. Second, the other members should have knowledge about expertise in economics. The third member should have expertise in accounts and finance, and the fourth in financial matters and administration. So the 5 members जो team होगा, one will be chairman, the other will be high court judge or eligible to be high court judge. The third member होगा, I mean a person having expertise in economics. Fourth member जो होगा, having expertise in finance and accounts. And जो fifth member होगा, I mean financial matters and administration. Again, if Article 280 talks about Finance Commission for India, then 243 I talks about, I mean, State Finance Commission. This constitutional provision also you need to remember. Now, these are different finance commissions so far. So before you look into peep into 16th Finance Commission, you need to peep into the earlier finance commissions also. And if not all the recommendations by them, at least key recommendations, you need to be clear with it. So the first finance commission was recommended in 1951. Mr. Niyogi was, chairman, and his recommendation, one of the important recommendation was that कि जो भी net proceeds आए income tax के, उसका 55% जो share हो, वो किसको जाए? States को जाए. So 55% of the proceeds of income tax shall be assigned by the union to the states. और सबसे बड़ी बात क्या होती है कि फाइनेंस कमीशन का तो important objective ही है कि devolution of taxes or revenue from center to states. तो पहला जो फाइनेंस कमीशन आई मिस्टर नियोगी के चेयरमैनशिप में, उसमें क्या बात की गई कि 55% अब जो नेट इनकम टैक्स है उसका प्रोसीड्स किसको जाना चाहिए? स्टेट्स को जाना चाहिए. जो सेकंड है 56 में एंड मिस्टर संतनम वाज द चेयरमैन, और इसमें देखिए ये 55% का जो नेट प्रोसीड्स है ना, दैट हैज बीन इंक्रीज टू 60%. याद रहेगा कि नहीं? 55% से कितना इसको बढ़ाकर किया गया है? 60%. और क्राइटेरिया क्या होगा? क्राइटेरिया क्या होगा? ये तो हुआ कि टोटल जो प्रोसीड्स है उसका 60% सेंटर क्या करेगी? स्टेट्स को देगी. बट किस स्टेट को कितना मिलेगा, ये कैसे डिसाइड होगा? नाउ हियर कम्स टू इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म एंड दैट इज कॉल्ड वर्टिकल डिवोल्यूशन एंड हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन. सो व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट sharing of taxes from center to states, when we are talking about sharing of taxes from center to states, that is vertical devolution. And when we are talking about how much all the states, each and individual state will have, how much each and individual state will have, that is called horizontal devolution. So total vertical devolution was 60% as per the second finance commission, vertical devolution from centers to states. But as far as horizontal devolution is concerned, the criteria was 90% will be on the basis of population and 10% on the source of collection of that particular tax. Is it fine? Did you understand this? Horizontal devolution? Horizontal devolution का मतलब क्या हुआ कि मान लीजिए कि सारे मेरे स्टेट्स हैं, 100 रुपए मैंने कलेक्ट किए, 60 रुपए मुझे देना है सारे स्टेट्स को. भाई अब 60 रुपए टोटल देने हैं तो किसको कितना दूं? तो देयर कम्स द क्राइटेरियन, सर्टेन पैरामीटर्स ऑन विच आपको कितना दूं, इनको कितना दूं और उनको कितना दूं. तो 90% जो डिवोल्यूशन होगा वो किसके बेसिस पर होगा? पॉपुलेशन के बेसिस पर। और 10% जो डिवोल्यूशन होगा कि जिस स्टेट जो सोर्स ऑफ टैक्स है, अंडरस्टूड, सोर्स ऑफ कलेक्शन ऑफ टैक्स है, उसके बेसिस पर क्या होगा? 10%। डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड वर्टिकल डिवोल्यूशन एंड हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन? डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड हियर? समझ में आना? पक्का?
हॉरिजॉन्टल पॉपुलेशन हुआ और वर्टिकल क्या हुआ?
नहीं नहीं बेटा, देखिए मैंने क्या बोला वर्टिकल डिवोल्यूशन में, सिंपली मैंने क्या बोला, सेंटर से स्टेट्स को जा रहा है। ये मान लीजिए कि स्टेट सेंटर से, देखो वर्टिकल सेंटर से स्टेट्स को जा रहा है, तो ये क्या हुआ? वर्टिकल। तो कितना जाएगा? 60%। चला गया सारे स्टेट्स को 60%। अब हर एक स्टेट को कितना देना है? इनको कितना देना, इनको कितना देना, इनको कितना देना, इनको कितना। इसका क्राइटेरियन क्या होगा भाई? तुम्हारी पॉपुलेशन, जिसकी ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन होगी, पॉपुलेशन के बेसिस पर 90% डिवोल्यूशन होगा, और 10% होगा कि अगर मान लो कोई स्टेट है उसकी पॉपुलेशन कम है और बोलता है कि यार सोर्स ऑफ कलेक्शन मेरे यहां इतना अधिक है, बोल सकता है ना, तो उसके बेसिस पर भी कुछ डिवोल्यूशन होगा, एंड दैट विल बी ओनली 10%। अंडरस्टूड? आई मीन एक मान लीजिए कि जो टैक्सेस होंगे, मान लीजिए एक पर्टिकुलर स्टेट में ज्यादा कलेक्शन है, तो सोर्स मतलब जहां पर कलेक्ट हुई है, अंडरस्टूड? So altogether, I mean, a particular state can claim. Jesse, I mean, in southern states, most of the southern states they say that we have less population, but less larger contribution towards tax. So they always have this कि भाई मुझे कम क्यों मिलता है? The southern states always claim. Understood? So that's what is that I'll be taking up in some other context also. Again, in 1960, please read it. I mean, I'll not be discussing.
फाइनेंस कमीशन हैव बीन मेड, तो इसको मतलब अग्री किया था?
नहीं, I'll tell you. These are recommendations only. Dated me under Article 281 जो रिकमेंडेशंस देती है, आई मीन नॉट बाइंडिंग। आगे हम लोग 8th फाइनेंस कमीशन में I'll tell you I'll tell you this context. In during 8th finance commission, I mean Mr. YB Chauhan recommended, I mean, but then that recommendation was not accepted by the center on account of financial difficulties. So altogether, states like West Bengal, they started boycotting also. They started litigation against center कि ऐसा क्यों नहीं देंगे जब फाइनेंस कमीशन ने बोला है देने के लिए, बट सेंटर के पास आई मीन कुछ फाइनेंशियल चैलेंजेस थे। सो ऑल टुगेदर देयर आई मीन आर्टिकल्स 281 कम्स इनटू पिक्चर। आर्टिकल 281 कम्स इनटू पिक्चर, एंड वो जो आर्टिकल है उसमें क्लियर है कि आई मीन द रिकमेंडेशंस बाय फाइनेंस कमीशन आर नॉट बाइंडिंग टू द गवर्नमेंट। अंडरस्टूड? So this issue was there during 8th Finance Commission. Please go through it at least once. Now, see, I mean, as far as 7th Finance is Commission, that is very, very important that surcharge should be shared. Surcharge should be shared. I mean, he has recommended, but today also you know that surcharge is not shared. That is not binding. Understood? अगर सेंटर का मन करता है तो शेयर कर सकता है, but state cannot say, I mean, that you need to share. Now, from here on, 11th Finance Commission. Till 10th Finance Commission, you can see that the specific shares of income tax and excise duties was shared separately. But then from 11th Finance Commission, from 11th Finance Commission, the share of states in the net proceeds of all central taxes and duties be fixed at 28%. Besides, 1.5% of all tax revenue be allocated to the states separately, means that overall 29.5% of the net proceeds of all taxes need to be allocated to the states. Did you get the meaning of this? पहले क्या हो रहा था? Bifurcation हो रहा था. अब क्या हो रहा है all together? I mean कि collectively पहले इनकम टैक्स का इतना परसेंट, एक्साइज ड्यूटी एंड अदर ड्यूटी जो यूनियन गवर्नमेंट लेवी कर रही है तो उसका अलग था. बट यहां से अब क्या हुआ, फ्रॉम 11th फाइनेंस कमीशन ऑनवर्ड्स ऑल दी ड्यूटीज एंड टैक्सेस क्लब टुगेदर, और ये बात ही कह रही है the share of states in the net proceeds of all central taxes and duty should be fixed at 28%, and additional 1.5% means that overall states को कितना जाएगा? 29.5%. Then under 12th Finance Commission, this share was increased to 30.5. बट देखिए यहां पर दो तीन चीजें बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. 2002 में ये कमेटी बनी थी, फाइनेंस कमीशन सेटअप हुआ था. जब उन्होंने रिकमेंडेशंस दिया तो उस रिकमेंडेशंस में दो बातें उन्होंने बताई फॉर द स्टेट्स टू टेक सर्टेन एक्शन, और वो था ईच स्टेट शुड इनैक्ट ए फिस्कल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेजिस्लेशन. आपको पता है कि वो जो दौर था वो एफआरबीएम एक्ट का दौर था, और उस एफआरबीएम एक्ट में एक प्रोविजन था कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट शुड रिड्यूस इट्स रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट टू जीरो बाय 2008-9. उसी पैटर्न पर इस फाइनेंस कमीशन ने भी क्या कहा कि भाई हर एक स्टेट एक फिस्कल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेजिस्लेशन पास करे, और उसमें एटलीस्ट मिनिमम ये हो कि they should eliminate revenue deficits by 2008-9. Now, you all know that revenue deficits क्या होती है. Revenue deficit is equal to revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts, and revenue deficit which arise wherein your consumption set of expenditure exceeds the revenue. As you have been discussed in the class also, for any country should try its best to reduce its revenue deficit to be zero. जितनी आमदनी है उतना ही खर्च करें. समझ में आ रहा? जिसको मैं हमेशा बोलता हूं कि जितना चादर है उतना ही पैर फैलाएं. Understood? So that's what we should not act beyond your means. Understood? So revenue deficits at any point of टाइम फॉर ए कंट्री शुड ऑलवेज बी जीरो. क्यों? क्योंकि वो इन्वेस्टमेंट बेस्ड नहीं है. आप उस एक्सपेंडिचर को सिंपली क्यों आपका वो डेफिसिट क्यों बना हुआ है? क्योंकि आपका कंजम्पशन एक्सपेंडिचर बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ा हुआ है, एंड दैट यू आर नॉट एबल टू मीट विद योर रेवेन्यू. आई मीन दैट इज टैक्स. क्योंकि रेवेन्यू रिसीट्स में क्या होता है? लार्जर पार्ट टैक्सेस का ही होता है. अंडरस्टूड? सो एनी कंट्री शुड ऑलवेज ट्राई कि उसका रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट कितना हो? जीरो. अंडरस्टूड? सो यहां पर भी 12th फाइनेंस कमीशन की रिकमेंडेशन जो थी स्टेट्स को कि द स्टेट शुड इनैक्ट ये फिस्कल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेजिस्लेशन, और वो क्या करेगा कि दैट शुड ट्राई एटलीस्ट दैट बाय 2008-9 दे शुड bring down the revenue deficit to be zero. At the same time, these finance commission have altogether focused on increasing the tax to GDP ratio also, and that's why by 2009-10, the combined tax GDP ratio of the center and states should be increased to 17.6%. That was a good target being given by Finance Commission. But today also, I mean, ये 2009-10 की बात है, 2023-24 में we are hardly moving in around. Understood? And again, एक तो बात की गई कि टैक्स टू जीडीपी रेशियो बढ़ाएं 17.6% तक, प्राइमरी एक्सपेंडिचर कहां तक लेकर आए 23% ऑफ जीडीपी, एंड कैपेक्स नीड टू बी इंक्रीज टू 7% ऑफ जीडीपी. अंडरस्टूड? कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर. नाउ विजय केलकर जी का जो 13 फाइनेंस कमीशन के जो हमारे चेयरमैन थे, उनका था वर्टिकल शेयर ऑफ टैक्स डिवोल्यूशन शुड बी इंक्रीज फ्रॉम 30.5% टू 32%. इसका मतलब सेंटर टू स्टेट्स. वर्टिकल डिवोल्यूशन का मतलब क्या हुआ? सेंटर टू स्टेट्स. और इसमें एक सबसे बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात है कि हियर कम्स लोकल बॉडीज. नाउ हाउ टू incentivize local bodies so that they can also take, I mean, welfare activities on their part. So today the question also, I mean, remains कि जो local bodies हैं, municipalities हैं, I mean, what are the source of finances for them? So if you look at, I mean, some of the urban municipalities, so you may find that, I mean, they do levy certain form of taxes. But what about certain set of municipalities wherein they do not have any means of revenue? So this was for the first time during 13th Finance Commission that BJ Kilkoji raised this issue, and that's what he focused upon, how devolution of a specified share of central taxes to local bodies should be given, and that is in the form of grants. Then again, 14th Finance Commission, I mean, YB Reddy was the chairman, and share of states has been increased from again 32% to 42%. Again, grants in aid to cover revenue deficit of the states. अब यहां पर आप देखिए revenue deficits of the states. Now here comes very important big part. Now these revenue deficit of states should be managed through what? Special grants in aid being given by the center. Now this becomes debatable, wherein different states are giving lot of freebies. Now tell me, if different state governments will give lot of freebies and its burden through Finance Commission, if it will come on the center, that's somewhere or another imbalance the center-state financial relations. So why? Because revenue deficit, if you look at different states, so most of the time those revenue deficits are on account of their expenditures which they are not properly managing. So if somebody says that I'll give pension to all the unemployed, if somebody says that interest will be waived off, now don't you think that will be impacting the revenue expenditure? Don't you think that will, I mean, lead to increase in revenue deficit of that particular state? In order to, in the recent elections only, you must have seen different political parties have announced कि तुमको ये मिलेगा, तुमको वे मिलेगा. मैं बार बार बोलता हूं कि ये लोग अपने घर से लाकर फ्री का दें तो कितनी अच्छी बात है. ये मेरे खजाने का मुझे ही देते हैं और बोलते हैं ये तो अपना ही खजाना था ना, और अपने ही खजाना हमें देते हैं. क्यों? फॉर देम टू बी इन पावर. मेरा ही पैसा मुझे लाकर दे दिए. किस लिए भाई? सो दैट दे कैन वोट्स एंड दे कैन बी इन पावर. और फ्यूचर में क्या होगा इसका? फ्यूचर में रिपरकशंस होगा कि आज मुझे अच्छा भी लगा कि कितनी अच्छी गवर्नमेंट है, सब कुछ फ्री में दे रही है, बट देन कल जाकर हमको तो छोड़ दीजिए, मैं गरीब आदमी हूं, हमारे बच्चों को जरूर भरना पड़ेगा। सो ये जो फ्री का, हर एक किसी स्टेट में हर एक वीमेन को फ्री बस राइड्स, यार इफ सच वीमेन are able to pay, so why you are giving free? So I'll not discuss too much on this. What I'm trying to tell you, see, by giving grants in aid, the Finance Commission has recommended that should cover up revenue deficits of states. But बताइए ऐसे states में जहां पर revenue deficit is on account of larger freebies being given to remain in power. So that's what question the fiscal responsibility and fiscal discipline of that particular states. The 15th Finance Commission was set up in 2017 under Mr. N.K. Singh, and here they reduced the overall taxes to the states from 42% to 41%. क्यों? क्योंकि जो 1% प्रोसीड्स था, दे रिकमेंडेड दैट शुड गो टू द यूनियन टेरिटरीज ऑफ जम्मू एंड कश्मीर एंड लद्दाख। तो ओवरऑल जो प्रोसीड्स थे 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन में वो क्या थे? 42% ही थे, 41% टू रेस्ट ऑफ स्टेट्स एंड 1% टू 1% to Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. That comes to 42%. Can you remember this? याद आएगा आपको? इस आपको कॉन्टेक्स्ट समझ में आ रहे हैं इसके? और समझ में आएंगे ना तो आपको याद भी करने में क्या होगा? आसानी होगी। अंडरस्टूड? सो आप क्या करेंगे कि अगर ऐसे मगअप करेंगे ना विदाउट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, तो यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड। बट कुछ कॉन्टेक्स्ट जो हैं उसके अगर आपको याद आएगा कि सर जैसे 8th फाइनेंस कमीशन में अंडर वाई.बी. चौहान जब हमारे कमीशन के चेयरमैन थे, उसमें रिकमेंडेशंस एक्सेप्ट नहीं किया गया ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल डिफिकल्टी। अगर ऐसा भी कॉन्टेक्स्ट याद रहता है ना तो आपको याद रहेगा कि 8th फाइनेंस कमीशन में चेयरमैन कौन थे और क्या उनके कुछ रिकमेंडेशंस थे। अंडरस्टूड? नाउ दिस इज हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन, जो क्राइटेरियन था। समझ में आ रहा? मैंने सबका तो नहीं आपको बताया। आप क्या करेंगे? 14th एंड 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन का जरूर याद कर लेंगे। अंडरस्टूड? कि क्राइटेरियन क्या था फॉर हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन? हॉरिजॉन्टल डिवोल्यूशन मींस व्हिच स्टेट विल गेट हाउ मच। सो व्हाट इज द क्राइटेरियन? इनकम डिस्टेंस पहला क्राइटेरियन था। इनकम डिस्टेंस का मतलब होता है डियर कि जो मेरा जीडीपी है, सॉरी, जो मेरा स्टेट का इनकम है और जिस स्टेट का सबसे हाईएस्ट इनकम है, तो इनकम कैसे मानेंगे हम? ग्रॉस स्टेट डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट। अंडरस्टूड? मेरे स्टेट का ग्रॉस डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट क्या है और सबसे, और कौन ऐसा स्टेट है जिसका सबसे ज्यादा ग्रॉस स्टेट डोमेस्टिक प्रोडक्ट है, दोनों के बीच के डिफरेंस को हम क्या बोलेंगे? इनकम डिस्टेंस। तो ये पहला पैरामीटर था। इसके पैरामीटर पर 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन में कितना डिवोल्यूशन होता था? 50%। और 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन में कितना हो रहा है? 45%। एरिया, ज्योग्राफिकल एरिया 15-15 दोनों में है। पॉपुलेशन, 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन में जो पॉपुलेशन का डेटा लिया गया था वाज बेस्ड ऑन 1971 सेंसस, बट 15th कमीशन में जो क्राइटेरियन लिया गया है और 2011 सेंसस। दैट्स व्हाट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर। अंडरस्टूड? दैट्स व्हाट यू नीड टू रिमेंबर। तो देखिए जो 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन में क्या किया गया कि 71 का जो डेटा था पॉपुलेशन का, उसके बेसिस पर उनका कितना परसेंटेज डिवोल्यूशन था? 17.5%। और जो इन्होंने 2011 का डेटा लिया, उसके बेसिस पर इनका डिवोल्यूशन कितना था? 10%। इसका मतलब अंडर 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन population census of 71 and 2011 both have been considered, but in case of 15th finance commission they have only considered डेटा, पॉपुलेशन सेंसस डेटा ऑफ 2011, उसके अंडर कितना है? 15%। अब देखिए यहां पर अगर ये क्वेश्चन मैं आपको बोलूं कि ये जो डिवोल्यूशन है, कि अगर आपसे एक क्वेश्चन आता है कि 14 फाइनेंस कमीशन में क्रोनोलॉजिकल ऑर्डर में बताओ फ्रॉम हाईएस्ट टू लोएस्ट किस क्राइटेरियन के बेसिस पर कितना डिवोल्यूशन होता था, तो आप बताइए कि अगर ये परसेंटेज आपको याद नहीं होंगे तो यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू अटेम्प्ट करेक्ट ऑप्शन। इसके लिए क्या याद रखना है कि इनकम डिस्टेंस सबसे हाईएस्ट क्राइटेरियन है। उसके बाद अगर आप देखेंगे पॉपुलेशन, तो 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन में पॉपुलेशन बिकम द सेकेंड हाईएस्ट डिवोल्यूशन क्राइटेरियन, और उसके बाद क्या आता है आपका एरिया, अंडरस्टूड। उसके बाद आपका फॉरेस्ट कवर आता है, और यही इंपॉर्टेंट पैरामीटर है। तो देखिए IAP, समझ में आ रहा, IAPDF है कि नहीं, IAPDF देखिए, ये जो IAPDF मैंने लिखा है ना, ये जो क्राइटेरियन बेटा है ना, ये टोटल क्राइटेरियन है, समझ में आ रहा। FFT लिखा है, तो आप इसको ध्यान से, यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज योर ओन कोड ऑल्सो, अंडरस्टूड। आप अपना कोड बना लेंगे जिसकी वजह से आप याद कर सकते हैं। याद रखना कि फॉरेस्ट कवर जो था 14th फाइनेंस कमीशन के था, 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन में इस पैरामीटर को और ब्रॉडन कर दिया गया, एंड दैट कम्स विथ इकोलॉजी, अंडरस्टूड। डेमोग्राफिक परफॉर्मेंस में सिंपली क्या था कि व्हाट द स्टेट इज डूइंग इन ऑर्डर टू डिक्रीज द फर्टिलिटी लेवल और कंट्रोल द पॉपुलेशन, अंडरस्टूड। ये था डेमोग्राफिक परफॉर्मेंस में। तो दो इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट याद रखिएगा कि एज ए पार्ट ऑफ 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन, पहला पार्ट हुआ फॉरेस्ट वाज नॉट फॉरेस्ट एज सच, दैट वाज ब्रॉडेन टू इंक्लूड फॉरेस्ट एंड इकोलॉजी। डेमोग्राफिक परफॉर्मेंस नहीं था पहले, उसको लाया गया। और थर्ड था टैक्स एंड फिस्कल एफर्ट्स। तो 3 इंपॉर्टेंट पैरामीटर याद रखिएगा। एज ए पार्ट ऑफ 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन, फॉरेस्ट नाउ हैज बीन ब्रॉट इन टू इंक्लूड फॉरेस्ट एंड इकोलॉजी। Demographic performance was not there in 14th Finance Commission, that has become part of 15th Finance Commission. Tax and fiscal efforts were not there in 14th Finance Commission, but then those are there in 15th Finance Commission. देखिए, now the dimensional building. If I ask you on a simple note, to by including criterion such as tax and fiscal efforts, whether that is a justified move by this government finance commission or not, तो आप क्या बोलेंगे? Yes. If let's say, I'll give you an example, and that example will be very simple. आपने मुझसे 10 रुपये मांगा, मैंने दे दिया। आपने बोला कि सर मुझे पेन खरीदना, ऐसा पेन खरीदना है ना कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा लिखे और मैं यूपीएससी क्रैक कर जाऊं। मैं देखा कि ये पेन के लिए पैसा लेती है, पेन तो खरीदी ही नहीं, ये तो चॉकलेट खा रही है। इसका मतलब कि जिस पर्पस के लिए मैंने दिया, दैट ऑब्जेक्टिव इज मेट और नॉट। इसका मतलब फिजिकल इनडिसिप्लिन है कि नहीं। नाउ next time when I'll be giving her, I'll say that, I'll encourage that if you utilize, if I'll see that each and every money which is given to you is being used by you for the purpose for which you were given, so मैं तुमको कुछ additional chocolate के लिए पैसा दूं। इसका मतलब I am encouraging her to be fiscal discipline or not? Yes. That's what is tax and fiscal efforts. इसका मतलब if a particular state will be managing its expenditure so well that its fiscal deficit is being managed rationally, prudentially, then on that basis certain devolution need to be डन। कि कोई स्टेट बोलेगा ना कि देखो भाई मैं इतना अच्छा से मैनेज कर रहा हूं, तो आई नीड टू आल्सो बी गिवन, एंड दैट्स व्हाट इज वन ऑफ द वेरी गुड मूव बाय द फाइनेंस कमीशन अंडर 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन। कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड? अब समझ में आ रहा कि अब इनको पढ़िए. These are very important for you all. These are facts based here. Vertical devolution, horizontal devolution that I already discussed, and grants in aid. Grants in aid is nothing but additional resource transfers to a state. Understood? Now, these points, 80th amendment, you need to remember that's what is considered to be alternative scheme of devolution. And 88th amendment of 2003 has added a new article 268A, क्यों भाई? Dealing with service tax. Understood? Earlier we were not levying service tax, so 2003, we added a new article called 268A. That's what also constitutional provision that you need to remember. And that's why if we look at the first slide of Finance Commission, three things I have mentioned: center state financial relations, constitutional provisions, and economics. Now, अभी 16 फाइनेंस कमीशन हो गई है. इनके टर्म ऑफ रेफरेंस दे दिया है गवर्नमेंट ने इनको. पहला है division of tax proceeds, no doubt that is always there. Principles of grants in aid, भाई additional resource transfer देना है, additional resource transfer करना है, तो उसका base क्या होना चाहिए, that also need to be defined. Third क्या है, state funds for local body, that is very, very important. Altogether this question you need to prepare for the mains also, where you'll be going, that today most of the local bodies in semi-urban cities, they lack funds, and that's why the problem of civic community is always there in such small cities. I'll tell you, small towns and cities. So whether centers should devolve revenue directly to local bodies or to states and then to local bodies, or whether it should be the responsibility of the states to take care of their local bodies. So that's what is the important discussions which is going in and around, and we need to have a broader dimension about this also as to what need to be done. But 16th Finance Commission में एक important बात जो कही गई है, lot of discussions will take place on this particular topic, that what will be the state funds for local bodies. अगर सेंटर ने 100 रुपए दिए तो क्या हो सकता है कि सेंटर ही बोल दे कि 100 रुपए में 10 रुपए आपको किसको देना है, लोकल बॉडीज को. सो देयर मे बी सच अरेंजमेंट्स. दैट्स व्हाट वी नीड टू सी. Evaluation for disaster management financing also, that is also very, very important, because in the near future altogether we never know what will happen when, and the recent cyclones and other disasters which are taking place, natural disasters also, whether it's in Uttarakhand and other states. So for that also certain financing need to be given by center to state. So that's what, these are the 4 terms of reference, and Sri Ritvik Ranjan Pandey has to be appointed as secretary to the commission. तो अभी इसमें जो 4 मेंबर हैं उनकी भी अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं हुए है. स्लोली ग्रेजुअली द गवर्नमेंट विल कम आउट विद इट, और ये जो रिकमेंडेशंस होगा, इनका रिकमेंडेशंस होगा, दैट विल बी वैलिड फ्रॉम 1st of April 2026. 1st of April 2026 for next 5 years. लिखा भी है, for 5 years commencing 1st of April 2026. Now, recently you must have seen a report by International Monetary Fund, where it has raised concern about India's debt problem. Now, to what extent it is valid or not valid, considering the time frame, I'll not be able to discuss, but then we'll be taking up this particular issue next Sunday. And apart from it, from next Sunday, things will be altogether normal, smooth, and we'll be taking up different varieties related to environment, related to science and technology also issue. But overall dimensions or framework of this particular issue I'm sharing with you. See, the concerns of IMF are, number one, that at present, the date, India's date is sustainable. It has only questioned the sustainability of India's date in the long term. What IMF is saying that by 2028, India's overall debt will be 100% of GDP under adverse conditions. Adverse conditions. You need to have clarity about this particular, word which has been used by IMF. The second important concern of IMF is that though India is a responsible member of IMF, but it is not following floating rate regime, but it is following a stabilized arrangement of exchange rate. So here we need to understand also what are the different forms of exchange rate. What do you mean by currency board? What do you mean by stabilized arrangement? What do you mean by floating rate? What do you mean by crawling peg? All these things we need to understand. But here a stabilized arrangement simply means if you do not let your exchange rate to move your exchange rate 2% beyond its existing level, either up or down. And if you are trying to control your exchange rate within this particular band of 2% only, either +2 or -2, it means you are not letting it float freely. And that's what is a stabilized arrangement. So it has concern over this. However, the larger discussions which I'll be taking up in the next class will be related to that whether the concern raised by IMF, to what extent it is rational and not rational. What is the debt position of India at present? What is the general government debt? General government debt means center and states combined together. What is the public debt position? And public debt position considers internal debt as well as external debt. So overall, we'll be monitoring the structure of debt, central government liabilities, public debt, other liabilities, under public debt, internal debt, external debt. What are the measures? What are the debt sustainability indicators? सो डेट सस्टेनेबल है कि नहीं, उसके इंडिकेटर्स क्या हैं? तो हमारे फॉरेक्स रिजर्व्स क्या हैं, हमारा एक्सपोर्ट पोजीशन क्या है? So all these issues I'll be taking up in the next class, and then on that discussion we'll be concluding that what is the debt sustainability position of India. Understood? What is the debt sustainability position of India? So we'll be taking up in detail, because that will involve certain conceptual clarity also कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट लायबिलिटीज के अंडर क्या क्या आता है, पब्लिक डेट के अंडर क्या क्या आता है. So all these things I'll be taking up in the next Sunday. So that's all for today. Any question you can ask me. See, that was a special provisions wherein, that was granted by, under that particular finance commission, that allocation was being done by center to states. Understood? That was,
100 rupees.
that alternative means, let's see, the way you have asked. Suppose आपको मैंने कुछ पैसे दिए, उससे आपको क्या हुआ कि all together you are not able to meet your requirements. So some special arrangement was done by me to you, wherein certain percentage of money need to be given to you so that